All right, here we go. All right, so everyone out there listening today, we have Jessica Joins here with us. Am I saying your last name right, Jessica?
You are. You got
Yay!
it. That's like
Awesome.
first try luck there. It's not always the case.
Sometimes I butcher it, sometimes I'm right on point. So I'm on today. But yeah, so Jessica, I'm so happy to have you here. So why don't you start off and tell us a little bit about you? Who is Jessica?
Yeah. Well, gosh, I really work now not to try to identify as like the labels and titles that we think of us because they're usually connected to like what we do and what we put out to the world rather than who we are within. So I'd say I'm a really passionate person. I like taking risks. I I'm really trusting in the unfoldment of my own soul purpose journey. And I'm a person that really tries, I'm a spiritual seeker. I truly try to live in the energy of surrender. It's a big lesson in this lifetime. But for the nuts and bolts for your audience, so they can get a grasp, I'm the founder of the Women's Purpose Community. It's a personal and spiritual growth community for, high-powered women. I've written a book all about soul purpose. It's been truly the story of my life. And hindsight's always 2020 from a very young age of how to understand who you truly are and what you love and know that all you're supposed to do is express that to the world. That's the soul purpose journey. So,
Okay.
yeah, but I'm really excited to be here with you today and you're doing some great work, Megan. So it's good to be with you.
Yeah, thank you. So, a little bit more about what you do, right? So, you are an author. You have a podcast as well, right?
I
And
do.
you
Yes,
travel around and speak.
I do. Yes.
Okay, very cool. So, tell me a little bit about this women's community. So, is it a lot of, I guess, like career oriented women? Are there moms in there, or like what is it like?
Yeah, so it's a wide breadth of women. I would say for the most part, it's women, senior executive women, so women that have been, in a leadership role for 20 plus years.
Okay.
Women, 90% of which are moms, have kids, so
Mm-hmm.
they're really trying to manage a lot, very, powerful in their career, but are really wanting a place that they can do the soul journey that we're all here doing.
Mm-hmm.
And, really to do that with other women that are on similar journeys. And it's a place of, embodied vulnerability, building deep heart-centered relationships. We pride ourselves. It's not about connections. It's not about networking.
Mm.
And women that understand one another because they're all in a similar life journey externally, but are really looking for something more. So we focus on personal growth, spiritual growth, and wellness for
That's
this,
awesome.
this subset of women.
Okay. Now, when these women come to you, are they kind of like burned out? They've just kind of reached their max in the corporate
Yeah.
world and are feel a little lost? Is that what you would describe it
Yeah, I would
as?
say two reasons. One is a lot of them, it's like my story. I was a global CMO of a massive tech company
Yeah.
and, realized I had dedicated 20 years of my life to doing something I didn't love. And I felt trapped in this career. I didn't know how to get out. So a lot of them really want to embark on the soul purpose journey and step into their next chapter. So major kind of life transition type of
Mm.
thing coming up in their life. And I would say it's about half the women. The other half are just looking for a place to really focus on them, their spiritual growth, their personal growth, because they're so caught up in the doing and they are feeling burnout and all of these things. So those are, not the only two reasons, but the two primary.
Okay. Now, what brought you? So you just said you were in the corporate world, right? So tell me a little bit about your journey. So where did you start and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is like what my book is about my
Okay.
podcast and all of my work because it's very much, and again, your soul purpose, that it is the thing when you're able to look back on your life and hindsight becomes totally 2020 and you see how every single moment led to this.
Yes.
And so I had really big dreams when I was a kid. Like I was a dreamer. I had all this stuff I wanted to do for my life. And by the time I got into college, I really got indoctrinated into the societal programming of survival and scarcity. So I
Mm.
didn't do what I love in terms of what I was going to study. Like I made the logical choice. I did figure out something I was good at that I could make money doing. And so I found myself of 20 years in a job,
Yeah.
right? Not in a passion. And I now believe like we deserve nothing less
Mm.
than to do what we love every day.
Right.
Like it's the most sacred choice you can make. Like, why are we even considering choosing anything different? But I was blind to it, but I was really unhappy. I had panic attacks in my first like corporate
Mm.
advertising job. I felt trapped in this thing and on, but I didn't know how to get out because my beliefs were anchored to survival and scarcity. The world's hard. I'm just going to try to survive it. There's not a lot of opportunity. We're all competing with another. All of
Right.
that. Yes. Right. And so it took me a long time to make a choice to get out, even though I was in a lot of pain for a long time and just really
Mm.
suffering through these jobs. And so I finally made a shift when I was, again, like at the height of my career. And it was just through a series of radical awakenings. You know, that's why I wrote a book about it because it's a long story. And so I'm
Yeah.
trying to give you the abbreviated version. But I just came to see that the truth in my heart, which were these dreams, were only there because I was meant to explore them
Mm-hmm.
and that I could continue ignoring it or I could do it. So I took a
Yeah.
leap and really started to figure out who I wanted to be when I grew up, for lack of a
Yeah.
better way to kind of frame it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you found your passion and now you try to teach people how to find that purpose and
Yeah.
passion.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big part of the work that I do. And it's funny because it's a message we hear every time since we're kids, but then you look around, why is no one doing it?
Yeah.
And I think we need to hear it over and over again and in different ways. Like what is in your heart, it's there because it's put there by the universe. It's there because it's your destiny. The only reason it's there is because it's what you're meant to do. Like there's no, but our mind, our ego-based
Mhm.
mind, that voice of fear that presents as a voice of reason, makes it complicated.
Right.
And therein lies the spiritual journey, to believe the truth in your heart more than the fear in your mind. That's what we're all here
Right.
trying to do.
And I mean, that's so hard because I mean, we're all scared. I mean, you must hear like every excuse in the book. Especially as moms, we use being a mom, as an excuse to do a lot of things, which it does. I mean, there are certain things that we don't want to sacrifice, right? As a mom, we want to be there for our children and whatnot. But I mean, how do you get past, like, what are some of your favorite ways to get past that fear or even just like that ego?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the work that I do with women, it does center around on those limiting beliefs, those
Mhm.
stories, and they're
Mhm.
common. And, I have a process I take my women through that just helps them see like every belief, you get to choose it.
Mhm.
And the beliefs you choose are the reality you manifest. There
Right.
is no fixed reality. You are
Right.
shaping it moment to moment.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of deep subconscious work, having them to go through a process where, because number one is like, I can't do what I love and make money. Number one. And then, like I had my reasons, I don't have kids, but I had my beliefs were deep on that, and everyone has their beliefs. And it's like, going through the kind of spiritual awakening process for them to get to see, yeah, you will manifest that belief if you keep choosing it.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
play around and choose. And we do things sometimes that feel less scary. What if you just shift this? And then they can see how they can like bend their own reality. And so it builds a little confidence to keep doing that. And I'll
Yeah.
say too, like the reason it took me so long is sometimes you just have to suffer enough to be pushed to make a choice. Like pain truly is the portal to awakening.
Right.
So a lot of times when women find me, they tend to like have suffered enough that they're not coming to me if they're not a little bit ready. So I'm never
Yes.
trying to convince anyone,
Yeah.
not going out there and extracting people into this. They're
Yeah.
coming because they're already a little bit ready and open to these ideas.
Why do you think that is though? Because I mean, I feel like that's us in a lot of things, right? So like I'm a health coach and a lot of times I don't get women until they are sick, right? Until something actually disrupts their life that they have to take care of their health, right? So like in the part of like coming to you and like that fear-based thing, like they suffered for so long, they finally come like, why do we wait that long as human beings? Like why are we
Yeah.
not open to, like you said, that abundance that the universe has for us? Like why are we not open to that more?
Well, look, not to get too esoteric, but that is the spiritual journey. We are
Right.
here, I say many times, like this earth school, it's hard. Look around,
Right.
suffering is the way. And we come here in many ways to have this profound experience in the dark to come to know the light. So that time in the dark, which is pain, it's suffering, all these things, is very necessary. That is the school, if you will. That's
Okay.
where you're learning everything. So yeah, it's unpleasant. You're like, oh my God, but you can't have that light without that time in the dark.
Okay.
It just is what it is. And it's like you come to know what is through a deep experience of what isn't.
Okay.
So it's necessary, and it just is the way of this experience that we're having.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was interviewing someone this morning, and, I always hear this quote. It's like, pain is growth. Like, that's where you get your growth from.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying, right? So we have to go through that pain in order to grow towards the light. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where you learn everything.
Yeah. I mean, so operating out of fear, so changing your perspective on that, right? Because I think a lot of us operate out of fear, right? Like, I was having a bad day the other day, and I texted one of my good friends. She's a coach also, and she's like, it sounds like, Megan, that you're operating out of fear and you have to, change your perspective. And I was like, oh my God, thank you for calling me out. I actually have the skills to change this. And, it really was just changing the thoughts in my head to stop thinking in that scarcity mentality that there isn't enough for me type of thing.
Yes.
So is that a lot of what you come in contact with?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I mean, I back on a little bit of the esoteric, but I love the higher perspective. Like, we are here having an experience with fear, the ego mind. So that voice of fear that presents as the voice of reason. We're here having an experience with it to wake up out of that. Right. And to see that there's a choice, and to see that that voice in your mind actually isn't you, that you're the awareness behind that voice. And when you can start being the awareness more, then you use your thoughts, you treat them with sacred reverence.
Right.
Wow. I am like a co-creator. Every thought I choose has a frequency and power, right? So we all go through this, right? So there's nothing wrong. I think it's the book, The Worry Cure, what they say, we have up to 30,000 thoughts a day, 85% negative fear-based, 90% or something of those never even come to fruition. This is the constant. So you're not doing anything wrong. I still have it too. I don't really call myself a mindset coach, but I guess in many ways I could be.
Yeah.
Same with you. But I always say, the journey will be done when you're no longer here, in this body.
Absolutely.
It's what we're kind of having an experience with, just to see through the illusion of it. So that's the esoteric, but on the practical, what you did is great. Sometimes reach out to a friend. Sometimes I can't get myself out of it, but I do try to pause. I do try to truly witness the thought. So if I'm believing the thought is true, I'm identified with it.
Right.
So I do just try to witness it and observe it, and just have compassion and love for the small, scared part of me that on some level thinks this is true.
Yep.
And then I just go through a process of trying to surrender and release the thought and drop back down into my heart. But it's a daily practice.
Yeah. Yeah. You never just make it. You never make it with anything. I mean, it's all an evolution.
Yeah. It's all, and the more you witness and you build that muscle, the less the thoughts are able to grip on. So the more you make that a conscious practice where I am just witnessing their thoughts, not facts, at the moment I'm believing the thought, I'm identified with it. It's gotten me. So I just really try to witness over and over again. And I'll tell you, so funny, I spiraled on something the other day too, but I spiral less and less. Okay. And I'm very aware of how much I've been able to shift it through being consistent with the practice of witnessing.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. Now, okay, so what about self-image? So we are what we think, right? How we talk to ourselves matters. So with women, I mean, it's just, this world is crazy, right? So how do we go about this?
This is some crazy synchronicity, because right before I got on this with you, I'm doing a workshop tomorrow, and I was literally just writing a slide in the deck of how self-love is the manifestation journey. Who you think you are is what you receive. It's what you manifest, and and I was writing, this is a pretty well-known affirmation, but it's one of the most powerful ones. And it's, I am who I am, and it is enough. I am who I am, and it's enough, right? It's so incredible. But the self-love journey is you recognizing the infinite soul within. So it is you coming back into divine union with self. right? And really like doing that. So yeah, like, so self-love, not self-care, but really being able to heal the parts of yourself. And we all have our different, childhood trauma and da, da,
Mm.
da, da, da. And really looking at that, addressing it, facing it head on, because that healing journey like is the self-love journey in so many ways. And
Yeah.
then consciously practicing love of self. So I think like Louise Hay's like mirror work is, I mean, she's no longer with us, but I still tell all my clients, look, make eye contact in the mirror, tell yourself you love yourself. Cheesy, it works.
Yeah.
I in my book, it's what I open my book with. I wrote love letters to myself for a long time.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And to just try to heal it. Cause knowing that like, you are blocking yourself, the universe is not holding back anything from you.
Yeah.
The only thing blocking you of receiving everything you want is, and if you're not open to it because you feel undeserving or worthy on some level, it's literally an energetic block. So
Yeah.
again, it's just like making that a priority. But yeah, we all, women, men too, like we all like really suffer with that.
Right. I mean, I think that's like a daily battle with most women. I mean, some days might be great. Other days, you're having that tough day, or, we go through so many ups and downs in our womanly cycle too. It's like you have these emotions that we can't handle. And yeah, we're not talking kindly to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. We're physiologically different. I was
Yeah.
at a conference I was speaking at. I was actually glad to hear that. And it's like, I think we can still be powerful. We can still be like strive for equality and all these things, but also recognize like the system does not serve women who are physiologically different in some ways. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that, especially being, turning 49, things really start to change.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, in terms of like a practice, it's okay, looking at the wounding, where it comes from, the messages you received about self, whether it was body, whether it was, whatever it was, and like that healing all of that, whether it's through therapy, whatever it is, but willing to look at it. And then consciously practicing talking positive to yourself, or consciously a self-love act, like the mirror work, writing the love letters, how I really embarked on the journey for myself.
I really like that idea of writing it down. Because I mean, I love journaling anyway, and I think that's a great practice to have, no matter what. But yeah, even just writing just like one sentence a day, keep it small and just start with that. I'm going to start doing that. That's amazing.
Yeah. And look, like so much neuroscience and neuroplasticity with manifestation, with everything, like this is just programming in your brain. And so, especially if you went through any abuse as a kid, anything like that, that programming is still there until you change it.
Right.
Like, so it's the active, I'm a big believer in like bridging the behavioral with the esoteric. And like, so the conscious daily practice, like, you're going to create new neural pathways, for yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, I think like as a parent, our kids are watching us, right? So like how we treat ourselves and how we talk to ourselves is even like just more
They're
important.
taking all that on too. It's literally like in the DNA.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I found like when I became a parent, I wasn't even aware of some of the stuff that I was doing, and that kind of brought all that baggage up like you're talking about. I mean, I had a great childhood, don't get me wrong, but there's still stuff, right? We all have baggage. And yeah, but I mean, that's something I could continue to work on for the rest of my life, I'm sure. Because I mean, it's like you could write that down and then go on social media, and that's like, right out the window of how you talk to yourself, because you're automatically comparing yourself to someone else on social media.
Yeah, we've done a lot in the community on conscious parenting. So we've had a lot of conscious parenting coaches come in and do workshops. And I mean, that, from the conscious parenting perspective, like that is the sacred experience between parent and child, is the mirroring. And and in conscious parenting, it's like any problem you're actually having with your kid is something unhealed in you. So the conscious parenting is all about you healing you. Not about fixing the kid.
I know. It's been such a wild ride. I mean, my daughter's 8, but it's like it was not what I thought it was going to be. It really is all about us as parents, and like really just focusing on working on us, because they just do what we do, because they see what we do, and it's not their fault,
It's like when you go to, this is a totally different subject, but like if you go to a dog trainer, they're not training the dog, they're training the owner.
Yeah, for sure. It's It's a wild ride. Yeah. But it's been it has been so crazy. Like I look back now, like you said, and I can actually see, like when I had my daughter, I have grown so much just by becoming a parent. So it's been such a gift. Like not only do I have my child, but like I never would have done the things that I've done if she was not born, so it's just like it all looks to be, like little like map points, along the way. And it's been pretty incredible. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So what do you have coming up, Jessica? Like what's going on in your life?
Yeah. So, what do we have coming up? We have, so in the Women's Purpose community, we have a big in-person retreat once a year. For me, that's getting started. It's in October, but for me, like that work gets started now. We've actually, we only have space for 40 and we already have sold 20 tickets. So,
that's awesome.
So that's coming up. It's mostly for community members that we save space for guests and other women and, friends of members to come. So that's going to be big. And then I have a couple speaking engagements coming up. I can't announce yet, but I will be soon. One in July and one in September that I'm really excited about.
Awesome.
One's here in Los Angeles in July. And then the one in September, is coming up. I don't even want to announce where that one is yet, but that'll be really good. Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, just
that's so cool.
do it. Yeah.
So do you do one-on-one coaching, or what do you do? Like besides the community, like do you have programs that are like do-it-yourself programs or
soul purpose coaching programs? Yeah, I will. In full transparency, I've had, it's a small number now that I'm able to work with at a time as the community has grown, and that's taken up so much of my space. But I still do a small handful of one-on-one coaching clients, and it's, when you work with me on it, it's very much a program. So like half the work happens in session, but half of it happens outside of session.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
It's very much, connected to goals or intentions, and really like, we're going to get you there, because coaching's a proactive approach to life. It's not, therapy's a little bit different. It's more like processing the past in many ways.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. And I know you have a podcast. Now your podcast sounded very different because you do live coaching, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And I will say, like, you're inspiring me because it's actually like one of my biggest passions, and I have not made as much time for it. For a long time, I was with Unity Radio, which if anyone like in the new age spirit world, like knows, like this was the end all be all. It was originally terrestrial radio, like the first like 24/7 spiritual radio, like Eckhart Tolle's been on there, Marianne Williamson. And I was on there with a once a week hour live show with live in callers and everything.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as podcasting grew and we became a podcasting network, we went out of business. So that was a big blow, but I'm with now Mind, Body, Spirit. So one of the executive producers from Unity started her own network, and it's great. And everyone should check it out. There's such great content on there, but there's not a set schedule of the recording, and I've gotten a little bit behind, even though it's such a passion for me. But it's live coaching. I actually a lot of times bring on women from the Women's Purpose community to actually talk about, in a very real, not a level of mastery way, the work that we're doing in the community. So in the community, every month there's a topic we work on together, and we truly do work on the topic. So there's a lot of that on there, and live coaching, really cool. And all of that.
Great. Yeah. So can we still find the older episodes on Spotify and stuff? Okay.
Yeah, they're all cataloged there. So if you go back, I think, God, when did it go away? 2022, I think was the end of it, if I'm remembering my years correctly. But back when you see there's like an hour every week, that was back on Unity. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But you will start doing newer ones eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I recorded last month, but like I used to record every week, and so in that respect, I feel a bit behind. But I'm just the community's been growing, trying to make room for all the things.
No, I know, I feel you. Balance. It's time consuming. Yeah, I mean, after June, I'm taking like a 2-month break for the summer, and then coming back because it's a lot to balance, and it's wonderful, and like I love doing it, and I love putting people's stories out there. But it's time. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I'll say for your listeners, I'm always looking for guests to come on too. So like if you want basically like free coaching, like come on the
Yeah.
show and you just bring a couple things you're struggling with and we talk them through. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure there'd be a lot of people interested in that. I know I'd be interested in that. That's
You're
great.
welcome to come on. Let's do it.
Yay, yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it. I'd
Yeah.
have to think what's the most important thing I want to be
I can
coached
help you
on.
with that.
Yeah.
We'll talk offline. We'll
But
figure
yeah,
it
that'd be
out.
so
Yeah.
cool. I would love that. So
Okay,
I guess
great.
my next question is, where do we find you? Where's the best place to find you?
Yeah. So my main website, my name, jessicajoins.com, has links to the community, like all the things. So that's the best hub to go to. If you want to potentially come on the show, just send an email to info@jessicajoins.com.
Okay.
Or if you have questions about anything else. And then social media, I do everything on Instagram and TikTok. And that is same handle @JessicaLJoins.
Okay. All right, great. So I'm going to link all of that below. And yeah, you'll have to let me know when you start doing that again, because I would love to be a guest.
It's done. We're going to, as soon as we're done recording here, we're going to figure it out.
Okay. Do you already know what you want to coach me on?
I don't know. That's what we'll have to figure out and talk. We'll set a date, then we'll do some pre-calls to figure out what it's going to be about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. That'll be really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we can always grow, right? In all aspects of life. And yeah.
And you help others. I will just say, like, and it's what we do in the Women's Purpose community. When you practice embodied vulnerability and are real and put that out there, you help so many people by like hearing you. And not to say, like, I love interview style shows. Originally, before Unity Radio, I was with United Intentions, and it was more of a talk show like you do, which is you're great. You're a natural interviewer, by the way.
Thank you.
And all of that is great. But I figured, I was like, I don't think I'm a good interviewer. You know, like, I think what I'm really good at is actually coaching people. So why not do that? You know?
Yeah. No, I think that's really cool that you do that. I mean, I know when I started, I was like, I can't just talk. That's so weird. That's just like not me. I need to find something that, meshes with who I am. And I think that's amazing that you do that. Yeah, it's really cool. All right, Jessica, well, thank you so much. So everyone can find you right below. I put all the links, and stay tuned for, I guess, my coaching interview. That's really cool.
That's coming up.
Thank you. It was so great meeting you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.